Okay, this is a video on how I train my bluebirds to use a feeder, a bluebird feeder. And you can see right here, this is the bluebird feeder. And it's a cage type. It's got openings that will allow a bluebird to enter, but not bigger birds. And it's got like a cup, which is semi-translucent, so you can see the worms moving around. Now to train them, see, I have a new pair actually this year, so they're not familiar with this. So there's their box, and what you have to do is you have to put a cup on like a pole and put it near the box where they are. Now, obviously this is not an ideal situation because you don't want to be feeding them near where they're nesting, but you have to get their attention, so this is how you do it. So this is a metal pole, and I used an L bracket to put a cup there, and then I put a couple mealworms in there. Now the problem I have in my yard is that there are other birds that know about this, specifically the mockingbirds and the brown thrushes, and so when I try to fill that cup, a lot of times the mockingbird will come down and just eat all of them, which is not ideal. But luckily yesterday I was able to put some mealworms in, and the bluebirds did find it, so they know about this. And so the idea is that once you get them trained to the cup, then you put your feeder nearby at an eye level so that when they're on the cup, they can see that other cup. And once they get trained to the bluebird feeder, then all your problems are basically solved because the other birds can't get into there. Now you will have other birds that will compete that are smaller, like titmice and chickadees and wrens and things, but the main thing is you want to get the bluebirds trained to that feeder. Now what I do also is once I get them trained to this, then I have that on a post, and I made like a little L bracket on it so that I can tamp it into the ground. It's got a fixture on the bottom that allows me to screw it in, and I can't really hammer that into the ground without damaging the threads, so I made that L bracket so that I can step on that bracket and push that pipe down. The point being is that eventually I want this to go to the backyard, and so what I can do is once I'm trained to this, I can pull this up and then just move it in like 20-foot or 30-foot increments. So I'll start it here, and then I'll gradually move it around to the side yard, and then gradually 30-foot increments back to the backyard. Once I get to the backyard, then I'll be able to see them from my living room. So that's the strategy, and it's worked before. The other idea is to simply put this bird feeder up into the tree, but again, this is probably not ideal because you really don't want to be feeding the bluebirds that close to where they're nesting. So we'll take a look at the setup here. This is a really nice feeder. I just bought this. It's kind of expensive. They're like about $60. But the nice thing is that they're plastic, so you don't have to worry about cleaning them or the paint peeling off or anything. And you can see on the bottom, what I've got is there's a flange with it's got like a screwed, threaded hole, and then the pipe goes into that. So that allows me to take it off and on if I want to. The top part has a part where I can hang it from a tree if I want to also, so it's pretty flexible. The pipe with the cup is also pretty simple. There's an L bracket, and then there's these little cups that you can get at like delis, like at Costco. And I left the part on the side open so that I can hammer that down and leave the cup on at the same time. Now what you can also do is you can also do a wing nut on the bottom if you want to be able to take that off quickly. That's another option. So this is a temporary feature. Obviously, I don't want this thing to be in my yard forever. It's just for training purposes. So that's my setup. And the hardest part of it is getting the bluebirds trained into the cage feeder, because they do have to work a little bit to get through it the first couple of times. And once they learn it, it's pretty simple for them to get in and out of there. But that's necessary, because you have to have it that way to keep the other birds out, the bigger birds. So right now I've got a mockingbird and a brown thrasher that are also in the yard, and they know about the mealworms. That's a little bit of an issue. So I'm going to leave the cup open for now, and then hopefully the bluebirds will land on that, and then they'll see the other cup in here. And that's how you do it.